Hello there guys, it's Mercy and welcome back to another product review, and today I'll be doing a review on the MiaoAo XJ03. Per my usual disclaimer, MacKeys actually did send this out to me, and just like every other review that I've done out there that is going to come out from this video is my own and my own opinion only. No one is paying me to say something good about the MiaoAo XJ03, and MacKeys are watching this the same time as you guys are, so no worries there. Now before we start with the mouse itself, let's start and talk about the packaging, and I think MiaoAo did a really good job with the packaging in of itself. It's soft touch, it's huge, and we're done with the packaging. I'm joking. Let's talk about the inside of the packaging itself. First, you'll get a USB-C cable and the dongle itself. Unfortunately, I did not receive an adapter inside the box. I don't know if it will be included or it will not be included, but if it's not included, just make sure you have one ready if you want to put it in front of your mousepad. I have a bunch of these, so it's not an issue for me. Next, you also get a second pair of mouse feet, which is always a nice touch, especially at these kind of price point. You get a pair of switches. It originally comes default with this Kill 8.0 and a TTC Gold in the box, but I kind of swap it around because I prefer the TTC Gold. You also get an extra screw when you want to open it out, and you lose it, you have an extra one in the box, which is always a nice touch, and it's not focusing. And finally, you get this wrench thingy to open the mouse apart. So that's all that is in the packaging, and we'll jump straight to the shape. Now, the shape of the MiaoAo XJ03 is kind of like a small to medium size ergo. We'll talk about the dimension now. It's 120mm in terms of its length, 42mm in terms of its peak height, and on MacKeys website they list it at 55mm in terms of its width. I don't know where 55mm is on this mouse, but when I measure it thumb to pinky like this, I got about 60mm, so it is not a bad measurement at all. It's basically 2:1, but I do have some slight issue with the shape in general. It feels very plump. If you like plump mouse, it's kind of nice. When I use this mouse, I am basically defaulting to palm claw because the back here is very ginormous in a way, and it makes me feel quite comfortable with the mouse, which is a good thing, yes. But in the scene where I tend to go a bit more flicky, more fast with my movement, this mouse really do slow me down time to time. Again, not a big deal. I just think that if you want a comfortable ergo mouse, this is one for you. I just think, especially compared to like some smaller ergos that I've owned, I just perform way better on these kind of mouse in general. I wouldn't say bad, just suboptimal compared to my usual mouse. I think it's just because I'm forced to go palm claw here instead of my normal relaxed claw. Now, the build quality of the MiaoAo XJ03 is actually quite solid. No rattling, no flexing, no creaking on every part of it at all. It's advertised at 65 grams in MacKeys website, but I got more, about 67 grams, and adding these grip tape on the mouse itself, I get about 68 grams, which is not bad. The problem I have with the weight in general is the weight balancing, because the weight balancing is pretty much back heavy. It doesn't really feel that good to play in game. But once I get used to it, it's not that bad. But again, this is why I think it kind of forces me to a claw instead of like my relaxed half fingertip, half claw kind of play style, because it's the back heavy is very noticeable. Now, next I want to talk about is the texture, and this is kind of the part where I'm quite disappointed with the mouse. It's not horrible. This probably feels the sleekest out of the bunch. I think it's good to look at, but this reminds me a lot of the Thermoshock M3, where it's just very sleek, and the moment I sweat even the tiniest bit, I kind of just do not play well on this surface at all. And it's probably the reason why I didn't review this any sooner, because the first week of me using this, I kind of struggle with the texture, with the grip, and it just kind of made me bench this mouse to the side and make me use my other mouse in the collection. But after slapping on this VG and Dragonfly grip tape, I actually did kind of have like a pretty good, like pretty enjoyable of an experience with the MiaoAo XJ03. So I think if you have really dry hands and you can grip this mouse really well, the grip tape is not necessary. But if you have even the tiniest drop of water on your hand, grip tape is probably your best friend on the MiaoAo XJ03. Now, with the texture, build, and all of that, I want to talk about the main feature that kind of stands out on the MiaoAo XJ03 compared to its other Chinese competitors, which is hot swap switches. Now, it's not new. Like, hot swap switches have been around for quite a while now, but the way that they implemented on the MiaoAo is actually quite nice and really easy to do. So on the bottom here, you have 1, 2, and 3 hex screws that you can take it apart with the hex wrench over here, and once you do it, you can easily just change your stuff. But I'll do it off camera. I'll do one for you guys actually. So just put your hex screw in and then turn it counterclockwise, and then once it loose enough, it will just fall off. And repeat it 2 more times and we can open the mouse. I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, when all 3 of your screws is removed, easily just pry it upwards like this on the back and push forward until you hear the click there, and there we go. Now we have removed the top shell from the mouse itself. Now all you have to do, I really love this, is to pull this entire white plastic apart. Now the switches come out. Push your switches out, or you can pull it out, depends on which one is easier for you. I tend to just usually push it, but make sure you don't push it too hard or your pin will be bent. And now we can just take the new switches, in this case the Kill 8.0s, put it back into its caddy over here, and then just line the pin up with the golden hole right there. So I'll just try to do this on camera. It's kind of hard actually. There we go. Now that this is in, legit, all you have to do now is just use it, because the switch is basically in the mouse. It's really simple. I really love this implementation, because with the Tech Repulse, with the ROG Chris, I have hard time removing the switches and putting back on, but this is just as simple as literally pulling this out. I probably shouldn't have done this on camera, but pulling this out, putting new switches in, and just putting the entire thing back on, which is again amazing. Now I won't be doing the sound test on this video because I have a lot of switches to show you guys with the mouse itself, so I'll put a link down in the description below for the sound test on this mouse with TTC Gold, Kill 8.0s, and all of the other switches that I've owned. And let's talk about the click feel. There is very slight pre and very slight post on both M1 and M2 on the Kill 8.0s and the TTC Gold version, and they actually feels quite nice. The right side doesn't have that well of an implementation of it, but the left side actually feels really clicky, and I actually kind of like how this feels in use. Now the scroll wheel is nothing special. This feels a lot like an office mouse scroll wheel, to be honest with you. It's not impressive, but I also kind of feel like it gets the job done, so no complaint there as well. And the side button is actually quite nice. It's very huge. I actually kind of find that it's easy to actuate, which is really nice, especially with the grip tape that is not even part of the mouse itself. And even these switches here feels amazing. Very minor pre and post travel on both side buttons. On the bottom here we have the DPI buttons, and the DPI actually doesn't change on RGB. There's a new LED on the front here. When you press it, there we go, that is your RGB indicator, DPI indicator. Alright, now let's talk about performance, and then we'll move on to the wireless thingy. And the sensor implementation on the MiaoAo XJ03 here is actually quite solid. It uses the 3395, and on mouse tester 1.4 it's okay. There is still some polling instability here and there, but most of the time with motion sync on, it is incredibly smooth. It is just like your typical Chinese implementation. It's actually really just good. Nothing special, nothing to write home about, but also nothing to be kind of like worried about. Again, I don't have any millisecond measurement system on my setup here, just based on human testing alone, but I personally feel like it's okay. Now the mouse feed on the MiaoAo here is actually kind of okay. It reminds me a lot of the DharmaShock M3, where it's really scratchy in the beginning, but unlike the M3, breaking it in doesn't really feel that much better either. Now this is on a glass pad, so most mouse feed on here is scratchy to begin with, but on my ES1, which is the most I've spent the MiaoAo on, it feels kind of decent. I still will probably swap this. It's not like the DharmaShock M3 where it's kind of usable. It still feels quite scratchy. Not a fan, but I also don't think like it's that bad either. Pretty solid, maybe a C if I have to grade these things in the future. Now the wireless performance is also not bad. I usually have the dongle straight in front of my mouse pad, just like every other mouse I've owned, but I've never noticed any dropouts, connectivity issue. But the wireless performance is also quite solid, so the battery life on this mouse is actually pretty decent too. At full RGB brightness, which is the one that I have right here, it lasted me roughly about 3 days. So it's not great, but it's also with RGB and 3395 sensor, so it's quite understandable. Without RGB you can easily get it to 5 days, but most of the time I just play with the RGB anyway because it looks kind of sick, even though you cannot see it. But hey, the option is there, I might as well just turn it on. And that is it. We've talked everything. I'll put the picture of the software here. Nothing special, pretty basic Chinese software, and yeah, really solid mouse actually. Aside from the shape being kind of like not for me, I kind of don't like when the mouse kind of just sit on my palm. And like, this is comfortable, like, don't get me wrong, this is a very comfortable experience, but I like mouse that make me feels like I have to aggressively grip it, then I feel very snappy. But with the MiaoAo, it feels very comfortable. So if you like those kind of mouse, good for you. I think this is a really solid option, but I personally still prefer something that is more aggressively shaped and requires me to claw grip it, so I feel a little bit more snappy with my aim than something that feels a little bit more comfortable with my aim. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any question, leave down in the comment section down below. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't like this video, thumbs down. Again, huge thank you to Mackeys for sending out the MiaoAo XJ03 for me to do a review on. It took me a while. I was planning to do my review on China, but a lot of things happened there, and I just didn't feel like doing it. So again, thank you for Mackeys. If you guys want to buy it, I'll put a link down in the description down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.